Okay. So we will be recording the presentation so it can go on Yammer and you can have access to it later. So again, I want to welcome everyone for stopping by and joining into this ADU class. I am Sharon Barnes, Dr. Sharon Barnes, a proud member of the Coldwell Banker Real Estate family in Riverside, California. And I just want to tell you just a little bit of how I'm here presenting to you on ADUs. Several years ago, about 4 years ago, I enrolled into a course to see how to take my real estate business to the next level. And in that course, they kept telling me I had to focus on one aspect of real estate. And for those who know me, they know I do residential as well as some commercial. And in my former life, I was an attorney, so I do a little probate real estate as well. And so it was kind of hard for me to decide, what particular niche I wanted just to focus on for that class. But I happened to be sitting next to a past client, a commercial investor client, and she shared with me about a company out in Los Angeles that was converting detached garages into accessory dwelling unit at no cost to the homeowner and sharing part of the rental income with the homeowner. I am very excited because I'm in the Inland Empire, Riverside, San Bernardino County. We have some of the oldest houses, some of the largest lots, and we have people that we know in our real estate practice that have trouble qualifying for financing, understanding how to create some generational wealth, really understanding investing, the value of investing in real estate. And so I really got excited about the opportunity to bring that type of model to the Inland Empire. So that was my focus. And I started down that path. And then along the way, COVID hit. I kind of reiterated the niche of accessory dwelling units because I think with everything that we've gone through in the last couple of years, a lot of families had to think differently about their living spaces. We saw what happened to our seniors in facilities or even temporary rehabs when we couldn't go to see them. We could only talk through a window or try to get somebody on the phone to care about, to see how our loved one was doing. And so now people are looking at accessory dwelling units as a opportunity to care for their parents and their loved ones closer to their home, have maybe visiting nurses come in, but it changed things. And then also, colleges changed. We already had, more adults living at home, especially in California because of the cost of real estate. And now with COVID, there was a lot of life changing situations where we have to now be concerned about helping adult kids get on their feet and live on their own. So accessory dwelling units have been embraced by our state legislature as one of the new innovative ways to help us with the housing crisis and the shortage that we're experiencing. So, I mean, so anyway, that's kind of been my journey down this path to the accessory dwelling units. Really, I see it as mutually beneficial to our community, to our real estate market. And I just really have a passion for that. They always say, what makes you different or what would you do for free if you had to? And I really, this niche is really not only satisfying my heart's desire to be of service, but my professional goals to make a difference in our industry and in our community. So that's how I reached out to the California Association of Realtors when I found out there was a certification for ADU specialist, and I did obtain that certification. Prior to that, a lot of the ADU laws are based on what's going on or has gone on in Oregon. And so California is following the pace of Oregon. And in fact, the instructor for California is the guru out of Oregon that's really laid a lot of foundation for accessory dwelling units in the United States. And so the law is evolving, and I think that we as realtors have kind of had a little hard time trying to really understand how it fits in because it's not our typical buy and sell transaction right now. It has to be associated with a main structure. We have things in the past, casitas, granny flats, guest quarters, talk a little bit about that because words matter. And sometimes we have to be careful that not every casita is an ADU, but an ADU can be a casita. So we need to understand that a little better. So as we go through the presentation today, first of all, as I mentioned earlier, I did practice law in the past, and I am a licensed realtor, but this presentation is just for information, just to give you some food for thought. It is not meant to be legal advice, accounting, real estate advice, or tax advice. Every situation is different, and I am here to help you along the way to be a better service to your buyers and sellers in the areas of ADUs. The objective today, because as I said before, and hopefully you felt that my passion for it, and I've been indulging in this area for now going on 4 years, I wanted to get some information out to you that was relevant, that impacts you, and that helps you understand a little bit about how ADUs are now becoming a significant part of our real estate industry. So today I want to just expound on the understanding of accessory dwelling units just a little bit. And I also just want to mention a little bit about taking precautions when your buyers say they want to build an ADU on that property they're seeking to purchase. And I've gotten several calls from realtors. I started getting calls from realtors last year, most from other brokerages, and they were out there showing property, and they were calling me. Somehow they got my name, and they were saying that the buyer wanted to buy property they could build an ADU on. They were showing them properties, but they really didn't know what is an ADU, what's the requirements, and so forth. And so that's kind of dangerous because we're getting outside of our capability if we don't know. And I understand that we're trying to service our buyers, and sometimes we try to learn on the fly, but this could be a stickler. And so you should take some precautions now that ADUs are becoming like common knowledge, and almost every buyer is aware of it. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. And then there's a couple of topics that's going around that's very common that people are talking about, investors and homeowners. They heard about Senate Bill 9 about lot split, so we'll talk about that a little bit. And also that there's a $40,000 ADU grant out that can be used to help build an ADU, therefore increasing our inventory for living spaces. So that's what I hope to cover today. And I want to go through just a brief presentation, again, just to some thought-provoking information, hopefully. And at the end, if you have any questions, I definitely want to leave time for questions so that I can be a better help to you in answering more detailed questions or issues that you might be seeing out in the field. And I have two screens going here. Get it here. Excuse me just a minute. This thing is not okay. Okay, so what an ADU? So an ADU, the ADU stands for accessory dwelling unit. I've heard people refer to them as auxiliary, additional. The legal term is accessory dwelling unit. It means that there has to be a main structure on the lot, a residential structure on the lot, before you can add additional living spaces. And this accessory dwelling unit suite of legislations that's been passed since 2017 lays the foundation for doing this additional dwelling unit on any residential lot, as long as it can meet certain setbacks. Generally is 4 feet from the property line. And the accessory dwelling unit can be a ground up construction built to standard building codes. It can be a modular structure, and it can also be what's referred to now as a factory manufactured housing, which means basically it's different standards in some of the in the modular in some cases, and it means that just like the stick build is standard building code, they just build walls and different things in the factory and transport it, and those sometimes are transported in flat packs and pieces different than those modular that you might see going down the freeway, in halves. So the ADUs have a variety of building standards that they can meet, as well as the fact that the law allows us to have up to 1,200 feet ADUs, which is a nice size for even a 3-bedroom, 2-bed house. And you can, in some areas, you can go up to, you can have 2 stories with a maximum height of 16 feet. So there's a lot of variety and variances that you can have regarding the ADU, and so we need to be aware of them, because a lot of people, investors as well as homeowners, are taking advantage of this opportunity to add additional living spaces on their property. Now, again, there's the urgency and the opportunity in the area of accessory dwelling units. It's based on our shortage of housing, and we as realtors and in this industry know that it's national. There's a shortage across the country, and the state of California at least have recognized that developers and our large builders are not going to be able to build us out of it. So this suite of legislation in the area of accessory dwelling units basically is calling for all hands on deck, that everyone who can participate in building additional housing units, please do so. And these suite of laws were to alleviate and get rid of some of the barriers that the average homeowner had to do, to build accessory dwelling units. So in the past, and I know as realtors, we come across properties that are unpermitted. We used to have garage conversions, and then you go in and code would say that you had to bring the garage back, you demolish that extra room or that area that you had added to your house before you could sell it or whatever. One of the reasons I found out we had so many of these unpermitted units was that the impact prior to the accessory dwelling unit laws coming on board in 2017, the average impact fees charged in our area was like $45,000. And that was just to get the permits and for fire, safety, school, all those fees. And so a lot of people, as we can go into houses and we can see that the quality of the work seemed to be very professional and probably up to code, but they didn't get the permits. And that cost is one of the main reasons why it wasn't permitted. And with that in mind, I will say that one of the aspects of the accessory dwelling unit laws that we don't talk about very often is that it does have a component that allows for homeowners to bring unpermitted units into compliance without repercussions. They have kind of like an amnesty in most of the jurisdictions, where if you have an unpermitted unit under the accessory dwelling unit laws, you can now apply to bring that up to code and to take advantage of some of the financing, such as the ADU grant that I'll talk about later, to bring it into compliance. And in California, it's very important that that we really advocate for people to bring their units into compliance, because if anything happens on the property and you are renting out an unpermitted unit, and heaven forbid someone is hurt or harmed, that can really devastate a family and a lot of repercussions, and we really want to avoid that. And if fire and ambulance have to respond to your property, they will find out that it's unpermitted and you are renting it out, and without taking any type of action to bring it into compliance. So this law is there for those people. So as we're going out working with buyers and sellers and coming across unpermitted units, maybe we can advise them or let them know that they can explore this so that they can bring their home into compliance and really build a solid foundation of generational wealth for their families. So what we're talking about now with the accessory dwelling unit, I've been talking about the state is really trying to bring everybody on board to build housing. However, one of the reasons that it had to go from a state level and come down is because we have a lot of jurisdictions in California that really have opposition to building accessory dwelling units. And so now that the state has come in and said that there's certain restrictions that a local jurisdiction can't override, such as the fact that they can't prohibit a homeowner from building an accessory dwelling unit less than 800 square feet if they can meet the setbacks. They can't charge those impact fees that I mentioned, the $45,000 impact fees. They cannot charge those impact fees if you build an accessory dwelling unit less than 750 square feet, which can save you thousands of dollars. I have one project over in Yucaipa, California, and the homeowner wants to build 1,000 square foot ADU in his daughter's backyard, and him and his wife are going to retire and live there. And he says 1,000 square feet or it's a deal breaker. Anything else is too small. When he went down to the city, they even tried to talk him into designs that he could do for 750 or less, but he said 1,000 square feet. That difference between 749 square feet and 1,000 square feet was going to cost him over $15,000 in impact fees. And that's just the fees, not, the extra construction costs and different things. And so it does make a difference whether you have to pay those impact fees on your overall budget. So as we're talking about accessory dwelling units and getting an understanding of the state laws, just remember that there are some jurisdictions that, we have numerous departments in every jurisdiction on average. They say the accessory dwelling unit between conception and permits being issued goes to about 19 different departments. And some cities have owner occupancy requirements, as I was talking about with the junior ADU. That is currently an owner occupancy requirement. And we're anticipating that maybe next year in 2023, that requirement might go away and open the door for investors. But right now, you can only build a standard ADU if you're not owner occupied. Short-term rentals, we have a lot of people doing Airbnb, and some of them are renting to nurses and different professions that have assignments in different areas. But you really need to check out your city to find out whether or not your accessory dwelling unit can be used for those purposes. As I mentioned before, there's some variance in the setback fees. On the setback locations, generally is 4 feet. In some places, they require 5 feet. In some cities, they require your ADU to be 10 feet from the roof line of your main house. In other cities, they don't require that. So there are different setbacks and requirements we have to look for, as well as other restrictions. And all this to say that you need to start thinking about expanding your team to people who are versed in accessory dwelling units. So maybe a contractor or an architect or something, when you have clients who are breaching the subject of ADUs during your transaction. Basically, we're just going to, the ADUs, when we talk about the process, we try to keep it simple. And we start off with that site analysis. It's really that conception. So you're buyer seller has an idea of building an accessory dwelling unit. So in this site analysis, they would see how big they could build it, the location, get some idea of what they want, then be able to go into the design and permit phase. And the third phase is the construction, and the result would be in this case, just use an example of a 500 square foot ADU, the general cost and the rental income being about $3,200 a year. So one of the things I wanted to mention for us as realtors and some of the calls and things that are going on in our industry is to beware when a buyer tells you, advises you that they intend to build an ADU on the property that they're looking to purchase. Um, when they do that, I think that during the investigation phase, when we're getting home inspections and different things, that we also need to advise our buyer to get a site analysis, contact a general contractor, go down to the city to see if they can build what they have in mind, and to do this because if we don't kind of tell them and give them some directions right now, and we're like some of the realtors that call and the buyer says, I want to build an ADU. I want a family. I want a lot built big enough. I need the main house to be 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. You know, I want a flat lot and everything. He gives you all the criteria, and you're sending him listings and you're sending him, taking him out to see properties. And then he puts in an offer and he gets that offer. And then once he's in the house, he decides to go and start looking into the accessory dwelling unit and find out that he can't build it because either where he has a liquid fraction problem, it's on septic, and the city won't let him expand the capacity or bring in another one, or what he wants to do, the lot isn't big enough according to some type of city regulation. And then they can come back on us as realtors because they relied on us and they told us from the beginning what the intent was, and thought that as they went through all the disclosures and all the inspections and so forth, that since you knew that, you would have told them something if it wasn't covered. And we also have to realize that in the RMLS right now, they've added the section for basic information on ADUs, whether it's rented, when it was built, things like that. They've also inserted in certain of our disclosures certain information or language about accessory dwelling units. And so if it comes up and it's a major part of your transaction, then I think that we need to be aware of it, document it in certain areas or emails, or something that you advise the buyer as to what to do if that was his intent from the beginning, so that if he finds out during the investigation phase in that 17 days that he can't build an ADU, he can withdraw his offer or not consider that property. I mean, right now it's slow enough that we can kind of do that. Before, with multiple offers and things moving so fast, it can get kind of dicey. But this is a new area, and so there's not a lot of litigation on it, but it can head that way. And they do rely on our representation and what they tell us, and we've already, deal with different things that by the end of the transaction, they don't remember what they said at the beginning. So we need to just be aware and, cover yourself when you can. So this one basically is to talk about how I'll get questions about how ADUs are financed and so forth. And there are a lot of financing options out now. Basically, a lot of them we already know about. Um, they can use cash, savings, the retirement, the HELOC. Now, I find that in dealing with a lot of homeowners now, Some of them have such great interest rates from where we were, the 2.5%, 3% interest rate. They do not want to touch their mortgage because they got such a great rate. So they're using HELOCs to purchase to get the money to do the ADUs. And so that is one of the primary that I see used here in our area. And renovation loans as well as construction loans. So our lender partners are out there offering a variety of products and methods to get the ADU financed and built. And so earlier I said one of the things I wanted to talk about was some of the incentives and the grant. So currently, CalHalpa has a grant out that's commonly referred to as the $40,000 ADU grant. It started off at 25,000, and they didn't give out very many. They only gave out maybe 5 or 10 grants in the whole state, and then they went back and kind of revamped it and they increased the amount. And now they partnered with um, HPP Cares, who reached out to different professionals in the ADU industry to help get this $40,000 grant out to our communities. And I have been certified as one of those professionals to work with them to help get to get these funds out in our community. So what the CalHalpa ADU grant, it provides funds to help the homeowner basically get started on the ADU development. It can cover permit fees, design fees, your architect, soil test, engineering, and in our community, being the Inland Empire, we've been able to use that for upgrading the septic tank, connecting the trenching, connecting the utilities and the sewer, and so forth. And so basically, this grant can be used for anything needed to get your property ready for the ADU. Tree removal is included in that. And so it's anything except the actual construction. So basically, this list can get very, very long. I just want to give you a sample. And recently, I learned as well that if you use this grant in conjunction with financing, it can be used to buy down some points. And so with interest rates going up and being as fluid as they are right now, the ability to get a $40,000 grant and be able to use part of it to buy down points and interest is also a great opportunity that we need to let our community know about. So again, alleviating some of the barriers that we have to getting additional units built. Now, shameless plug, I do have a radio show right now once a month on KCAAradio.com. And this past Saturday, October 1st, I interviewed Catherine Peoples, who is the founder of HPP Cares, and in conjunction with CalHalpa is administering that $40,000 grant. And so if you want more information, you can go to the radio, KCAAradio.com, and look up under International Wealth Builders. And I'll also have it on my YouTube channel under ADU Advantage. And there's a lot out there about the ADU grant. It's changing all the time. So when you're looking at, when you go to YouTube University like I do, make sure you look at the date of the video and try to get things that are within the last 60 days or so, because it is really changing fast. Now, I wanted to just mention, not the lender or anything like that, but as we're going out as realtors, helping people identify properties where they can build ADUs, we have to be conscious of the ADU financing and the loan limits. So I put here just the Inland Empire. that the loan limits for one unit was like $647,200. I don't think it's changed again in the last month or so. But anyway, one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this up, had a project over in Rancho Cucamonga, and the family wanted to build an ADU in their backyard for their adult son to stay in, and they were doing a refi, I believe, to do it in conjunction with construction loan or whatever, them the lender. But I know that the problem came up is that with the contractor's bid and the amount that she was trying to get financed, that she was $30,000 over the loan limit for the Inland Empire. So she had to get just a construction bid, trying to adjust her design and her requirements to get alleviate that $30,000 overage. If she didn't, they would have to come out of their pocket for that $30,000. So that's one of the challenges that we have in the Inland Empire. When it comes to building the accessory dwelling unit and the financing, that we have to be aware of. In other areas like San Diego and Orange County, their price points and their loan limits are higher, and they're not bumping up against the ceiling as quick as we do here in the Inland Empire. And with material costs increasing, the supply chain issues and so forth, the ability for someone to build an ADU in the Inland Empire and stay within the loan limit is something we have to look at on a case by case, but you need to be aware of the fact that that is an issue, and we don't want to have people halfway down the path knowing what they want to do and knowing that they're not going to be able to do that unless they come out with a large lump of cash out of their pocket. And I will say that particular project that I mentioned in Rancho Cucamonga, the $30,000, the CalHFA $40,000 grant wasn't available at that time. Now we could couple that $40,000 grant with that family's loan and be able for her to go forward with her original design and intent for her ADU.
Sharon, there is a question regarding, Tim has a question. Can the grant cover construction cost, or is it solely for the soft costs?
It's solely for soft costs. And is only for soft costs, and it is reimbursable. And I'll say because I have one client that she started by herself. She got a loan to do her ADU, and then she ran out of money, and it's like 3/4 of the way finished, but she doesn't have any additional funds. So the grant allows for an incomplete or unfinished ADU for that person to come in later, so they don't have to come in from the beginning. She has to bring in contractor's bid as to how much it would cost to finish it, and then she can bring in receipts for what the soft cost she's paid in the past and get that $40,000 loan plus whatever the construction cost is that remain, and actually get the ADU completed. And it does cover consulting services and site feasibility and so forth. So if it's an incomplete ADU, they can still take advantage of the loan even though they weren't participant at the beginning. Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay. So this is just a sample of the loan limit that worked out with one of the lenders. That we had the single family house in the Inland Empire, the loan limit of $647,200. That the purchase price of the property being $465,000 with a 5%, let's say conventional down, or $23,250 down. The loan amount going down to $441,750, and it would allow for over $200,000 in a construction budget for an accessory dwelling unit and still be within that loan limit cutoff. And again, this does not bring into fact that they could possibly utilize the $40,000 grant to bring it down even lower.
There is a question regarding that. What are the requirements to qualify for the 40K grant? And Justin, we'll get to your question next. So the question is, what are the requirements to qualify for the $40,000 grant?
The qualifications are very simple. You have to be the homeowner with your name on the deed of the property. You have to occupy the property because it is not for investors at this time, and your earnings have to be below the what do they call that? The limit in Inland Empire. The limit is $180,000 a year per person. So if you make less than $180,000, you can qualify for that grant.
And Justine's question is, there have been discussions about garage conversions to create an ADU.
Yes. So the question, you can convert garages to create an ADU. You can convert either a attached garage or a detached garage.
Christine, did that answer your question regarding the investors, if they can apply to add an ADU for an investment property? I believe Sharon said they cannot.
No, they can. They can. An investor can add an ADU to their rental property. They can only add one unit to their rental property at this time per lot. And you can add 2 units to a property if it's owner occupied. If it's owner occupied, you can convert an attached garage into an ADU. And if your lot is big enough, you can build an ADU, say from the ground up in your backyard, making it 3 units on one property. However, you have to occupy one of those units as an owner in order to, say, convert the garage, which would be less than 500 square feet, considered a junior ADU.
So Christine wanted to know if the investor could apply for the grant.
No, the grant is not available for investors right now.
And Tim wants to know if the grant applies to the garage conversion.
Yes, the grant can apply to the garage conversion as long as it's owner occupied.
Wonderful.
Okay, so again, just another example of a purchase of a property listed for $415,000, and what the scenario would be for the loan amount, and in light of the loan limit and the availability to build an ADU. I saw this listing I found on the MLS it's on the street called Slew of Gold Court. I thought that was just ironic to talk about ADUs, since we can build generational wealth and invest in real estate with it. And so this was just a great opportunity to kind of look at a real listing, and the backyard being flat, having access down the side of the property and what we could put there. And then here the potential ADU, I will show you, I think it's coming up next, but I want to show you that a software that I have access to, whereby I can pull up any property in the state of California and drop a ADU floor plan in the backyard. We know a picture's worth 1,000 words. So even from a simple picture, we can see, make some basic determinations about setbacks, access, where it would be, and so forth. And this enables the owner or investor to take it to the city or county and have a conversation where they can actually mark up something and let them know what they can and can't do and some of the issues that they may want to address.
Sharon, there are a few more questions. Do you want to address? Yes. Okay. Mike says, is there current litigation to try and end the ADU program?
Repeat that again.
Is there current litigation to try to end the ADU program?
Not aware of any current litigation. In fact, the program was supposed to, the ADU laws we're talking about, not the grant, that the ADU laws were originally passed to expire in 2025. They have now extended that to 2026. That's part of the urgency, now, because every year since 2017, the law has been evolving. And if, say, the end of this reduced impact fee, advantage and different things that we get to do now, building ADUs that may cost us more later. That's why it's kind of urgent now. But the deadline is 2026 for the current laws.
Fantastic. And Allie wants to know if there's a minimum lot size requirement to build an ADU. And secondly, Barb wants to know if there's any parking requirements.
There is, they can impose a minimum lot size as part of the law. So you can, that's why with no minimum lot size, that you can convert an existing structure such as a garage, no matter where it sits on the property. And it can actually be a storage area. Some people have converted like those oversized RV garages that we had, the metal structure, whatever. If it's on the property now, you can use that same footprint and possibly turn it into an ADU, no matter what the lot size is, as long as you can meet the setbacks. And again, the minimum setbacks that we have right now that we go by is 4 feet from your property line. And I'll show you that on a couple of real examples here shortly.
Does that affect the parking requirements, or are there any?
They 2020 and revision of the ADU law in 2020, I believe, they took away the requirement for the parking. Some cities tried to impose parking when they got congestion, but you don't have to replace parking. Say if you take away the garage, if it's within, I think, a half a mile of Metro, or you can get like car pickup like Lyft or anything like that. So really, they're not looking at parking being a barrier anymore.
Fantastic. And there's a question about whether they can her question was, what about shipping containers? And can you extend or increase a garage size?
Shipping containers, again, it depends on whether or not the city or county will allow that, because that is not modular. It is not factory manufactured, and it is not ground up. It's kind of innovative or new thing. And so it's not allowed everywhere. We have to be aware of that. And it's even like with modular, some cities will not allow you to put modular in your backyard and attach it to be real estate. They require it to be ground up. But we have some cities, like in our area, if we're out in Hemet, Paris, San Jacinto, there's still a lot of opportunity to use factory build and modular homes as well as ADUs. But maybe trying to get one in Rancho Cucamonga, they don't really like that. So because they want the ADU to match the main structure, they want one of the requirements when you're designing and building your ADU is that it has to look like it belongs to your house. So if it's stucco, then we need a stucco ADU. If it has siding, then you want siding. Lifetime tiles on the roof, then it has to have lifetime tiles. Some cities require pitch roofs. You can't have flat roofs, so there are certain requirements, but they want the construction to look like it belongs and to keep the aesthetics of the community. Great.
And Conrad asked if you can increase the garage size.
Yes, if you can do that within and still have that 4 feet setback. A lot of people do that, especially if they have a single car garage or they have a detached 2-car garage and they can go out. Believe it's 150 square feet you can add without any problems. Some cities will allow you to go further.
Great. And then Allie wants to know the best way for a homeowner to apply for the ADU grant is to go through the CalHFA site.
Is to go to the HPP Cares hppcares.org/ADU grant. But if you just go hppcares.org, and there's a tab that says resource or services, and when you hit that, the down arrow will show ADUs, and you can click on that. Or you can contact me as well, and I can help you, especially if you're in the process. If you're in the process of an ADU, they have receipts and they need some administrative support to, to get the reimbursed for what they've already done.
Fantastic.
Okay. So again, this slide just to show that, we know that prices are going up, interest rates are going up, but rental income is outpacing the interest rates and so forth. And so ADUs is a great opportunity to for a positive cash flow, especially in California. It's in my opinion, it's one of the best ways to leverage the property that you already own and control. And a lot of the investor or people in the investment arena that does wholesaling and flipping and so forth, it's getting so hard to find those type of deals. The deals are really in the hands of the homeowners and the investors that own the property and that want to leverage them by adding additional units. That this is the best time to do that, and this is the leveraging tool that really makes a difference.
Justine wants to know if the HOA doesn't allow, what if the HOA does not allow garage?
Okay, the HOAs, they do have restrictions in there that they can't just forbid the ADUs unless it's kind of a health and safety type of thing, and that's why you find in a lot of the development areas that have HOAs that you would be limited primarily to maybe converting the garage, or in some cases, I've had some clients that are in HOAs and they allow them to do the ADUs as long as, again, they look like they belong there on the lot. They maybe look like, a pool house or whatever, but they have to be stucco, lifetime tile. And the other thing that they can't really prevent is that if you have one of these large 5-bedroom, 4-bath homes or whatever, a lot of people now, either because they want to downsize or some of the younger people are like the room that we call the great room or the family room, they're like walling that off from the kitchen, because usually it's related to the kitchen, and opening a pathway to the master bedroom and creating an ADU within the same footprint of their house without moving a wall at all, just making it 2 separate units under one footprint. And they can't really stop that because it doesn't affect the exterior, So the HOAs cannot just forbid the ADUs, but they can add certain restrictions. Okay, so I just wanted to show you a couple of 3D models of floor plans, because when we talk about like converting single car garage or even a small garage, usually 250 to 400 square feet. This is just an example of what can be built within that, because the ADU has to have a full kitchen, not a kitchenette. It has to have a full kitchen, has to have at least one full bathroom, and of course, a sleeping space. But the primary thing that makes it different than some of our 20th century granny flats and casitas and guest houses is that back in the early days, or back in the 70s, the 80s, it was illegal to have full kitchens in some of those structures, and so, or full bathrooms, because you had to rely on the main house for certain long-term living necessities. In the current ADU laws that started in 2017, these structures are meant to be self-sustaining, that you can live there long time and take care of all your basic living necessities under your roof without ever having to go to the main house for anything. And so this is one type of square floor plan, kind of open concept studio that you can build as small as 250 square feet and up to 400 square feet. This one shows a little bit of a different floor plan with the actual bedroom and a walk-in closet that you can build from 400 to 650 square feet. And over here in the bathroom, you will see they also added like the washer and dryer. A lot of the units now come that they're energy efficient appliances and fixtures, and they come with washer and dryer, and like I say, are completely self-contained. And you can adjust the floor plans. Like some people don't want the walk-in closet; they just want a standard closet, have a larger living area. But these are just some of the most popular plans out in the Inland Empire, and that we see can fit into a lot of the backyards and side yards that we have in the area that can qualify for an accessory dwelling unit.
Sherry's asking about tax increase.
I'm not a tax specialist, but it increases the property value and could have some tax consequences, deferred or immediate, depending on which way you finance it. And which way you bring the ADU on your property. But that is something that you need to talk to your tax advisor about. And the $40,000 grant, they will issue a 1099. So this rectangular floor plan is one of the most common floor plans that I've seen here in the Inland Empire, because a lot of people, when they're building close to colleges, this is kind of the dorm layout with the bedrooms on opposite ends. It also works for seniors who might need a caregiver, or even small families when you want privacy in bedrooms, and so having them on the opposite end. It also is one that you can put like perpendicular to your back fence, 4 feet from your rear fence, and you can place it further from the house, but yet have the front door where it has like a pretty direct access from the front of the house all the way to the back. And the architects can always scale this to be, smaller or even larger. People take this same floor plan and go up to 1,200 square feet and put a third bedroom in here. So there's this flexibility, but again, it gives you kind of an idea of the modern layout and technology that's going into these accessory dwelling units. So if your clients can actually visualize what they want, they can start getting better information about what they can actually build on your lot, and cost and so forth. So this is the software that I talked about earlier. Just a little video playing silently here that shows you how it can put in addresses, pull up the properties. It's clear than Google, and actually adjust the property line. Sometimes we have to adjust it to make sure that we have the lot there. You can see that the footprint of the house is kind of outlined here at the top. And then you can go over, and I have several floor plans available. I'm just picking one here and putting it actually on the lot. And when it's red, it means that it doesn't meet the setback requirements for the city, and so you can adjust it. And this, you see the little indentation here, it's like backwards, so I flip it, and you can see that they have a direct access to the front door from the side of the house here where that car is parked. They can walk right in. We can also do basic measurements, like again, to make sure we meet the setbacks. And we have other areas over here in the yard, so that if we want to add a pool or whatever, you can kind of make notes and outline. And the ADU laws does not apply to like the front of the property or the front yard. It will allow you in most cases to have the ADU in your backyard or your side yard. And then the basic site plan that that I can provide for the homeowner will give this basic information that the city and the area has about your zoning, your lot size, and so forth, and also give you a close-up of that floor plan that you can use. So earlier I said want to talk about the other topic, which is SB 9, which is Senate Bill 9, and it deals with 2 dwelling units and urban lot splits. And this really came from talking about the 2 units. This is based on Riverside requirements right now. So it allows, without any minimum lot size per se, because again, the law doesn't allow them to really put in minimum lot size. They have to look at everything case by case. But if you have a lot that's large enough to be split, what we advise is that when you start planning your initial accessory dwelling unit, that you position it where it will allow for you to add a further unit. So you need to do it, like I said, as you build the first one, make sure that it's not blocking the driveway or access to the further rear part of the yard and so forth. And so what it says is that if you have an ADU, if you have a main structure and you want to build an ADU on your property, you can do so. If the lot is deep, I suggest that you would build it as further back from the main house as you can, and then let the city know that you propose to divide that lot, say straight down the middle. And when you go in for those permits, they can give you preliminary clearance. Once you build that second unit on the property, then you apply for the lot split. Once they approve that lot split, you can then build another ADU on both lots. So you can get up to 4 units with the lot split. And once it's split, they say you cannot split it again. So you can't split, and split. You only can take, if you have a full acre, they're only going to allow you to split it once. So, and then abide by the accessory dwelling unit laws. Now, understand that some of the lots are so big that you could put more units on there. The accessory dwelling unit law, the ADUs, have not done away with the rules dealing with building custom houses or building multifamily units. Is just going to cost you more and be different permits. They're not going to, if it doesn't fall within the realm of an accessory dwelling unit, you're going to have to pay impact fees. You're going to have to do other soil tests and different things. And you can do that. And investors are doing it every day as long as it makes sense. But the accessory dwelling unit only applies to residential properties. And so even with lot splits, they're not going to let either lot have more than 4 units, because we know that 4 units or less is residential. Anything over that is commercial. So even with the lot split, this is not to go crazy with, building your multifamily 20-unit apartment complex. It still has to be residential. So each lot can have up to 4 units. But that means that a homeowner who owns a large piece of land now, who has a house on there, can subdivide it and end up with 8 units on his current 1R1 lot. So it has a lot of up potential, but we have to deal with building this with a good team and understanding, and people understand they have to do things in order and they have to do it in phases.
Sharon, Barb had asked if this program, is this a program you have, or is it something available online? And I think she was referring to the ADUs or maybe the SB 9.
Okay, The program that I showed where I could put the lot, where I could put the floor plan on the residential lot is a program that I have access to. Um, the SB9 ability to subdivide the lot, that information is part of the ADU laws, varying city to city and state to state, but I mean state to state, county to county, but yeah, that you can find more information on.
Great.
Okay, this here is just an example I wanted to show you, kind of going along what we've been talking about. This is a home over in Woodcrest area of Riverside, and this homeowner with this beautiful large home that he already has, that's not looking to downsize, he wants to build a 1,000-square-foot ADU, basically an upscale pool house that can be for visiting family and friends and so forth. He wanted, a patio extension here with those fancy glass doors that fold back the whole length of the ADU. Putting in a fiberglass pool here where the little blue is outlined there. And still concerned about having not so much parking. He's going to add a garage here, but not so much parking, but for storage of different toys and assets and stuff that they may use. And so he wanted to build this in conjunction with his main house. But as you see, this is a huge lot, and he actually has like 3 driveway entrances across the front of his property. And so this thick white line that's going down here, this was where he was proposing to the city to put in and subdivide his lot. After he gets his ADU and pool and everything done, he wanted to subdivide here. And actually, even though it looks kind of narrow compared to his entire lot, he could actually get 4 units on this subdivided area with the driveway that extends all the way back down the property to be single story and to be able to have rental income or extra space for his family or adult kids to live. So this is an example of someone who, during their initial ADU phase, is identifying where he would like to split his lot so that once phase 1 is completed, he can go into phase 2. Do we have any questions?
There are none in the chat.
Okay, so I kind of ran through a lot. I hope that some of it, it was beneficial and helpful to you. And I am available as a resource to help you with any issues regarding the accessory dwelling unit. There are a multitude of ways that we can work together, and everything is case by case. So please feel free to reach out to me, and let's talk about whatever issue or project that you're working on that you think I might be able to assist with. And also on my ADU Advantage YouTube channel, I have various interviews and information regarding accessory dwelling units, and I would appreciate you connecting with me on social media. So with that, it's open to any questions or comments or anything. I greatly appreciate it.
There's none in the chat, so please feel free to unmute yourself if you guys would like. Thank you so much, Sharon, for doing this for us. I greatly and truly appreciate this. It's very helpful and extremely informative.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, Sharon.
Hello.
Christine. Hi.
Hi, Christine.
Do you help to obtain those permits?
Yes. Well, I help with helping people find the architect and making selections to put together that team to get them done. And yes, I have gone to the city to help with the permit process, but it just varies as to what they need. But I can put them in contact with architects or designers so that they can get the permits done.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'll contact you.
Okay, thank you, Christine.
Thanks.
Anyone else?
Just many thanks and thank yous.
I have a quick question. Sorry.
Yes.
We were wondering back where the granny flats were and they had the different